What if a small act of kindness, something you did every day without thinking, was actually a test? A test that could change your entire life. Emma walked into the small coffee shop that Tuesday morning just like she always did. Her hands were tired, her eyes carried the weight of 1,000 sleepless nights. She was 32 years old, a single mother, and every single day was a battle. But she never complained, she never asked for help, because that's what mothers do. They carry the world on their shoulders, and they do it with a smile even when everything inside them is breaking. Emma worked two jobs, one at a small grocery store during the day, another cleaning offices at night. She had a 6-year-old son named Lucas. He was her world, her reason to wake up every morning, her reason to keep fighting. Lucas had big brown eyes that looked at his mother like she was a superhero, and maybe she was, because every day she made sure he had food on the table, clean clothes, and a warm bed to sleep in, even if it meant she went to bed hungry, even if it meant she wore the same 3 dresses over and over again. Emma's life was simple, but it was filled with love, and sometimes love is all you need, or so she thought. It was her friend Rachel who came up with the idea. Rachel worked at the same grocery store. She was loud, funny, and always trying to fix Emma's life. One afternoon, while they were stacking boxes in the back room, Rachel said something that made Emma's heart skip a beat. "Emma, you need to go on a date." Emma laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was the kind of laugh you make when someone says something so ridiculous you don't even know how to respond. "A date? Rachel, I barely have time to sleep. How am I supposed to go on a date?" Rachel crossed her arms. "You are 32 years old. You can't just work and take care of Lucas forever. You deserve to be happy too." Emma looked away. She wanted to say that she was happy that Lucas was enough, but deep down in a place she never talked about, there was a loneliness, a quiet ache, the kind that keeps you awake at 3 in the morning, wondering if this is all your life will ever be. Rachel saw it. She always saw it. Just one date. Emma, one. If you hate it, you never have to do it again. Emma sighed. "Who would even want to go on a date with me? I'm a single mom with no money and no time." Rachel smiled. Leave that to me. 2 weeks later, Emma found herself standing outside a fancy restaurant. She didn't want to be there, but Rachel had begged until Emma finally said yes. Rachel had set her up on a blind date. She said it was with a nice guy she knew through a friend. Emma wore her best dress. It was old, but it was clean. She had borrowed some makeup from Rachel, and for the first time in years, she looked at herself in the mirror and felt something not beautiful, but maybe not invisible either. She walked into the restaurant. It was the kind of place she would never go to. White tablecloths, soft music, waiters in suits. She felt out of place, like everyone could tell she didn't belong. The hostess smiled at her. "Are you here for a reservation?" Emma nodded yes. Under the name Rachel. The hostess checked her list, and she smiled again. "Right this way." Emma followed her through the restaurant. Her heart was pounding. What if he didn't like her? What if he took one look at her and walked away? What if this was all just a big mistake? Then she saw him, and her heart stopped, not because he was handsome, not because he was charming, but because he was sitting in a wheelchair. Emma froze. Her mind went blank. She had expected someone ordinary, someone simple, but this man in the wheelchair looked different. He wore a dark suit. His hair was perfectly combed, and when he looked up and saw her, he smiled. It was a warm smile, the kind that reaches your eyes. Emma didn't know what to do. She walked slowly to the table. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." He said back, "You must be Emma." "I'm Daniel." He reached out his hand. Emma shook it. His grip was firm, confident. She sat down. There was an awkward silence. Daniel looked at Harry. "Know what you're thinking," he said. Emma's cheeks turned red. "No, it's okay." Daniel interrupted. "Everyone has the same reaction. You were expecting someone different." Emma didn't know what to say. She felt ashamed, not because of him, but because he was right. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Daniel smiled again. "Didn't be. I'm used to it." There was a sadness in his voice, a sadness that Emma recognized because she knew what it felt like to be judged, to be looked at and dismissed, to be treated like you were less than. And in that moment, something shifted inside her. Maybe this wasn't a mistake. Maybe this was exactly where she was supposed to be. Talked for hours. Daniel was kind. He was smart. He made her laugh, really laugh, the kind of laugh that makes your stomach hurt. He told her about his life, how he had been in a car accident 5 years ago, how he had lost the use of his legs, how his fiancée had left him. 2 weeks later, Emma's heart broke for him. "I'm so sorry," she said. Daniel shrugged. "It's okay." It taught me who really mattered and who didn't. Asked about her life too. Emma told him about Lucas about her 2 jobs, about the struggles. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't pretend to be someone she wasn't. And Daniel listened, really listened, not the way most people do, where they're just waiting for their turn to talk, but the way people listen when they actually care. When the check came, Emma reached for her purse, but Daniel stopped her. Please let me. Emma hesitated. She didn't like people paying for her. It made her feel like charity, but Daniel looked at her with those kind eyes. It's just dinner, Emma, nothing more. So she let him. As they left the restaurant, Daniel asked if he could see her again. Emma's heart fluttered. I'd like that, she said, and she meant it. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Daniel saw each other more and more. He would pick her up after work. They would go to the park, to the movies. Sometimes they would just sit in his car and talk. Lucas met him on their third date. Emma was nervous. She had never introduced Lucas to anyone before, but Lucas loved Daniel. Immediately, Daniel didn't talk down to him. He didn't treat him like a kid. He talked to him like he mattered, and Lucas's eyes lit up in a way Emma hadn't seen in years. One afternoon, Daniel took them to an ice cream shop. Lucas ordered the biggest sundae on the menu. Emma tried to stop him. Lucas, that's too much, but Daniel just laughed. Let him have it. He's a kid. And as Emma watched her son's face light up with joy, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe life could be different. Maybe she didn't have to do this alone. Maybe she deserved to be happy. But then Rachel said something that changed everything. It was a Friday night. Emma had just finished her shift at the grocery store. Rachel pulled her aside. Emma, I need to tell you something. Emma could tell by her voice that it was serious. What is it? Rachel looked uncomfortable. It's about Daniel. Emma's heart sank. What about him? Rachel took a deep breath. This whole thing was a setup. Emma stared at her. What do you mean? The blind date, it was a joke. Some of the girls at work thought it would be funny to set you up with a guy in a wheelchair. They wanted to see if you'd actually go through with it. Emma felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. What? Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know about it until later, I swear. But when I found out, I tried to stop it. By then you had already agreed to go. Emma couldn't breathe. Her hands were shaking. So this whole time I was just a joke? Daniel was just part of some stupid prank. Rachel grabbed her arm. No, Emma, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think Daniel knows anything about it. I think he's genuine. But I thought you should know how it started. Emma pulled her arm away. She felt sick, humiliated, angry. How could people be so cruel? How could they play with someone's emotions like that? And Daniel, was he real? Or was he part of it too? Emma didn't answer Daniel's calls for 3 days. She couldn't. Every time she thought about him, she felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. On the 4th day, Daniel showed up at her apartment. She opened the door, and there he was, sitting in his wheelchair, looking at her with those kind eyes. Emma, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? Emma felt tears burn her eyes. Did you know? Daniel looked confused. No, what? That the blind date was a setup, that it was a joke. Daniel's face changed. The kindness disappeared, replaced by something else. Shock, hurt. What are you talking about? Emma told him everything. About what Rachel had said about the girls at work, about the prank. When she finished, Daniel was silent. His jaw was clenched. His hands were gripping the sides of his wheelchair so hard his knuckles turned white. Emma, he said slowly, I had no idea. Emma searched his face. She wanted to believe him, but how could she? How could she trust anyone after this? Daniel looked up at her. Do you really think I would do that to you? Do you really think I would play with your feelings like that? Emma didn't know what to say. Daniel took a deep breath. I need to tell you something I should have told you from the beginning. Emma's heart started racing. What? Daniel looked away. My name isn't just Daniel, it's Daniel Carter. Emma stared at him. The name sounded familiar, but she couldn't place it. I am the CEO of Carter Industries. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Carter Industries, it was one of the biggest companies in the city. She had seen their name on buildings, on billboards. Daniel looked at Harry. Don't tell people who I am, because I got tired of being treated differently. I got tired of people pretending to like me because of my money. So when Rachel's friend contacted me about the blind date, I thought it was just a normal setup. I didn't know about the prank. I didn't know they were using you or me. Emma felt dizzy. This couldn't be real. Daniel was a CEO. Why didn't you tell me? Daniel's voice was soft. Because with you, I didn't feel like a CEO. I didn't feel like a man in a wheelchair. I just felt like Daniel, and that's all I've ever wanted, to be seen for who I am, not what I have. Oh, what I can't do. Emma's tears finally spilled over. I don't understand. Why would you want to be with someone like me? I have nothing. I'm nobody. Daniel reached out and took her hand down. Nobody. Emma, you're the strongest person I've ever met. You work 2 jobs to take care of your son. You never complain. You never give up. And when you looked at me that first night at the restaurant, you didn't see my wheelchair. You saw me. Do you know how rare that is? Emma couldn't speak. Her heart was pounding. Daniel squeezed her hand. Don't care what those people did. I don't care if it started as a joke, because meeting you was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Emma didn't know what to do. Her mind was spinning. Daniel was a CEO. He could have anyone. Why would he want her? But then she remembered something her grandmother used to say: the measure of a person isn't what they have, it's what they give. And Daniel had given her something she hadn't felt in years: hope, kindness, a reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserves something good. I don't know if I can do this, Emma whispered. Daniel looked at her. Do what? Be with someone like you. You live in a different world. I'm just a single mom who can barely pay rent. Daniel smiled. Emma, I don't want someone from my world. I want you to. Weeks later, Emma agreed to go on another date with Daniel, but this time it was different. This time she knew who he was, and he knew who she was. No secrets, no games, just 2 people trying to figure out if they could build something real. Daniel took her to his house. It was a mansion. Emma had never seen anything like it, but what surprised her most was how empty it felt. I bought this place 5 years ago, Daniel said, right after my accident. I thought having a big house would make me feel successful, but it just made me feel lonely. Emma looked at him. You don't have to be lonely anymore. And in that moment, Daniel knew he had found something more valuable than all his money. He had found someone who saw him, really saw him. Months passed. Emma and Daniel's relationship grew stronger. Daniel helped Emma quit her night job. He insisted on paying for Lucas's school. At first Emma refused, but Daniel convinced her. Let me do this. Not because you need me to, but because I want to. Emma finally agreed, and for the first time in years she slept through the night. Lucas loved Daniel. He called him Uncle Dan, and Daniel treated Lucas like his own son. They would play video games together, go to the park, build things. Emma would watch them and feel her heart swell with a happiness she never thought possible. One day Rachel came to Emma's apartment. She looked nervous. Emma, I need to tell you something. Emma's stomach dropped. What now? Rachel took a deep breath. Those girls at work, the ones who set up the prank, they're spreading rumors about you. They're saying you're with Daniel for his money, that you're using him. Emma felt anger boil inside her. How dare they? Rachel nodded. I know it's not true, but I thought you should know. Emma thought about it for a moment. Then she smiled. Let them talk. I know the truth, and Daniel knows the truth. That's all that matters. Rachel stared at her. You've changed, Emma. Emma nodded. Yeah, I have, because she was no longer the woman who was afraid, who felt invisible, who thought she didn't deserve anything good. She had learned something important, that love isn't about what you have, it's about what you give. And she and Daniel gave each other something no one else could. They gave each other a reason to believe. 6 months later, Daniel asked Emma to marry him. It wasn't a big proposal. There were no fancy restaurants, no photographers, just Daniel, Emma, and Lucas in the park. Daniel looked at Emma. I know my life isn't easy. I know there will be hard days, but I also know that I want to spend every single one of those days with you. Will you marry me? Emma looked at Lucas. He was smiling. He nodded. Emma looked back at Daniel, and she said yes, not because he was rich, not because he could give her things, but because he gave her something far more valuable. He gave her love, real love, the kind that sees past wheelchairs and struggles and money and labels, the kind that says, I see you, all of you, and I choose youth. Wedding was small, just close friends and family. Rachel was there. She cried through the whole thing. Lucas was the ring bearer. He took his job very seriously, and when Daniel and Emma said their vows, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Emma promised to stand by Daniel through every hard day. Daniel promised to love Emma and Lucas with everything he had, and they meant every word. Years later, Emma would look back on that blind date and smile, because what started as a cruel joke became the greatest gift of her life. She learned that sometimes the things meant to hurt you can lead you to exactly where you're supposed to be. She learned that kindness is never wasted, that love doesn't look at what you have or don't have, it looks at who you are, and she learned that she was enough. She had always been enough. Daniel built a foundation. Through his company, it helped single mothers get back on their feet. It gave them job training, childcare, a chance at a better life, and Emma ran it because she knew what it felt like to struggle to feel invisible, and she wanted to make sure no one else felt that way. One night, as Emma and Daniel sat on their porch watching Lucas play in the yard, Daniel turned to her. "Do you ever think about that first night at the restaurant?" Emma smiled. "All the time. Do you regret it, knowing how it started?" Emma thought for a moment, then she shook her head. "No, because it taught me something important." "What's that?" Emma looked at him. "That sometimes the best things in life start in the most unexpected ways, and that a small act of kindness, showing up, giving someone a chance, seeing them for who they really are, can change everything." Daniel smiled. He took her hand. "I love you, Emma, I love you too." And as the sun set over their home, Emma realized something she had spent so many years thinking she was broken, thinking she wasn't enough, but she was wrong. She had always been enough. She just needed someone to see it, and Daniel did not. Because she was perfect, but because she was real, and sometimes that's the most beautiful thing of all. What if a small act of kindness, something you did every day without thinking, was actually a test? A test that could change your entire life. Emma passed that test not because she was rich, not because she was perfect, but because she had the courage to see past the surface, to look at someone sitting in a wheelchair and see not a disability, but a persona, person with a heart, a person worthy of love, and in return, Daniel saw her not a struggling single mom, not someone to be pitied, but a strong, beautiful woman worthy of everything good, because love doesn't measure what you have, it measures what you give. And what Emma and Daniel gave each other was simple: a chance to be seen, a chance to be loved, a chance to believe that maybe, just maybe, happy endings are real, even for people who think they don't deserve them, especially for people who think they don't deserve them, because everyone deserves to be loved, everyone deserves to be seen, and sometimes all it takes is one blind date, one moment of courage, one decision to show up even when you're scared, even when you think it won't work, because you never know that one moment could change everything. It changed Emma's life, it changed Daniel's life, and it can change yours too. All you have to do is show up. All you have to do is be kind. All you have to do is see people for who they really are, not what they have, not what they look like, but who they are in their heart. Because that's what matters. That's what lasts. That's what changes the world, one small act of kindness at a time. THEEND